Hi folks, back again to do some more Games Workshop stories. I hope you're having a very good week as we head into the Christmas week. Hope you're all doing well, hope you're all safe and sound, hope you're all not getting too stressed out by Christmas. I know it can be one of those times of year where people really struggle with things like that. But hey, you know, we're all here together, all trying to make sure that we get through it. If you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below and the real one is right next to that, the little bell icon. Click that if you want to ever hear from me again, because if you don't, YouTube will never show you that I'm here. Also, if you really like what I do, either become a member of the channel or there's the Patreon down below too if you want to buy me a beer. If you are a patron, you do get access to all of my videos at least a day early. So head over there, you get to speak to me as the video comes out as well. I'm always in the comments, I'm always like looking at what you're saying. So yeah, love you all. Let's get started, shall we? This is from somebody called Coolio J, and it is titled Mike Ruins Christmas Drinks. So a while ago, I asked the WhatsApp group, that is the Disgruntled Games Workshop Employees WhatsApp group, which we are growing in members now, where we share little just tidbits and stories. I asked them to send me in any Christmassy things that they had, and most of them were dealing with the retail side of Christmas, which is fine. But those are things that you come to expect from Games Workshop, right? Working in retail over Christmas sucks. Who would have thought it, you know? Who would have thought it? But this one stood out to me. When I got it on email, this one actually stood out to me. So, I'm going to read it here for you. It's a shorter video than usual, because it is just a very busy time of the year. But hey, let's get into it. So, Coolio J says, "Hey North, this is a story from my time working at Games Workshop in the US. Specifically in the Midwest, as we have 3 stores that are, by US standards, close together. This story takes place about 8 years ago and remains my most cringe story of working with the company to this date. At this stage, I'd been with Games Workshop for a number of years, pushing my sales and generally doing my thing after finishing college. This was a job for me that was kind of the treading water job that I did before figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. I ended up as a restaurant owner, as I love cooking. In fact, I'd always be bringing Warhammer themed cakes into the store for people to enjoy, not that my manager liked it that much. My life is going really well, and to be honest, I remember my time at Games Workshop pretty fondly. That is, aside from this memory of somebody called Mike. Alright, well I'm glad your life's working out well for you, I'm glad things are going well, and that your post Games Workshop life is taking off. Always good to see people going on to bigger and better things. But it is also quite a shame to see people like this leaving the hobby. I will say that. But anyway, moving on. We were a close-knit group in our local area, to the point that several trade accounts, stores that sell Games Workshop stuff but are not Games Workshop, banded together to make sure that folks bought the beginner stuff from Games Workshop stores if we pointed people their way for paints. That's really cool. And I had something similar in the UK with one of the stores that was nearby, and that they would try and send people who needed the starter sets to me, so I could give them intro games and stuff, and I would send them people who needed like an odd box set of things, you know, things that I wasn't going to carry. Anyway, he says this worked pretty well, and we all started hitting our targets. It caused quite a stir from what I remember at head office, and they were not exactly pleased with us going around procedure like this, but hey, it formed a close bond between the stores. Awesome. Eventually, I would take over my store from my manager, Mike, who ran his store like his own personal kingdom. He was banning people for pretty spurious reasons, and elected to give me extensive training on time vampires, quote-unquote, and obstructive sales behaviours, quote-unquote. Yeah, those are 2 things, right? Those are 2 things that I think every Games Workshop staffer comes to dread hearing about. We get that all of the time. Time vampires is a thing that we hear all of the time. It is literally, you don't get regulars in your store. They will strangle your store because they are time vampires, quote unquote. They will want to talk to you about the hobby and never actually give you any money for it. And by the way, this did happen quite a lot. They were technically right. I've said this before and I'll say it again. They are technically right. There are a lot of regulars who will come into your store and will waste your time. In general. The trick is finding the ones who aren't doing that, who are putting money into the store, who are supporting you as a store and a manager. Those are the guys to really throw your weight behind and really be on their level in trying to make sure that they're having the best time that they can in Games Workshop. But anyway. Mike was also, the manager, Mike was also a massive Ultramarines fan. and if we pushed any army that was not Ultramarines, he would have words with us. Note that I did not say Space Marines there, which would be bad enough. Ultramarines. Them or nothing, we were told. Jesus. I'm surprised this guy lasted as long as he did, because Games Workshop just like money. Ultramarines may be the poster boys, but if you try and sell just Ultramarines in your store, they will not be happy. You know, sell everything all the time. Once, he gave me an official sit-down warning, because when asked by a customer if they could build their Space Marine starter kit into any chapter they wanted, as there were a lot of colour combinations in the book, I said, yeah man, of course. Apparently, this did not adhere to the advertising on the box, or what Games Workshop were trying to push for. Ultramarines were the Marines people needed to be into, as it created a uniform identity that is more marketable. Okay, I'm just going to say, that sounds like tripe to me. That sounds like complete bull, because, again, I know Games Workshop, they just want to sell models. They don't care what you sell as long as you sell it. But I will say, like, if you're selling Ultramarines, they'll be very happy with that. They'll say, oh, fantastic, you're selling Ultramarines, lovely. Because, you know, they are the poster boys. But they're not going to get pissed off at you if you go and sell a Necron Start Collecting set, because that's what the customer wanted. It's just not going to happen, right? You're still selling starter kits to hobbyists. End of story, you know? Now, this is what Coolio J says. Now, I knew people at head office. I never heard anything like this from them at all. This is the kind of guy Mike was, however. Okay, going back to Northern Exile speech now. I honestly think that he just wants to sell Ultramarines because they're his army and he wants to sell them and he wants more people to buy them. To basically make him feel better about collecting them. That's where I think we are in this story. I honestly don't think he's doing it for any other reason than that, which is really, really, really sad. That's incredibly sad. But hey. Whenever I was, like, being asked a question about Grey Knights, I would be like, yeah, they're awesome, man. Here's what they're like, you know? But I would never try and steer someone towards Grey Knights over another army. Just don't be that guy. Don't be a douche. So, Christmas rolls around, and everybody in the store is getting ready to head to an organised Christmas drinks evening. We were meeting up in the city with a bunch of trade accounts and a few visiting trainers and office staff members of Games Workshop for Buffalo Wild Wings, a lot of beer, and football. And when I say football, I mean actual football and not soccer. I know that I'll get a lot of hate for that, but it is what it is. Okay, so, I'm going to disprove what you just said there. Alright? Nearly every single football club, as in association football, the real football, the UK football, nearly every single football club in America has the words FC behind it. Not SC, FC. So even your own people are calling it football. They may call it Major League Soccer because people like you will not get it. They will not get. If you put the MLF there, they're not going to get that. They're not going to get it at all. Because all you people think that football is gridiron football. It's not. I call American football gridiron. That's what I call it. It's not football. It's egg hand, if anything. Right? Even your own football teams call themselves football clubs, not soccer clubs. Get in the sea. Anyway, we head out and Mike is on form, roasting others for what they are wearing. We are all going in costume, despite Mike not actually wearing a costume. Dude, that pisses me off so fucking much. That really, really, really pisses me off. There's nothing a coward loves more than when a brave man fails. Take that to the bank. Take it to the bank. If you've got a friend who doesn't want to get involved, but instead takes the piss out of you for getting involved, kick them to the curb. Get rid of them. We head to the bar, and of course, things talk-wise swing towards the hobby. The drinks start flowing. I can see another staffer from a local game store called Travis, whose name has not changed, he insisted, who was not a fan of Matt Ward or Ultramarines. As Mike is on his soapbox as the drink is flowing, talking about how Ultramarines are the best chapter for this and that reason, I see Travis starting to shift in his seat uncomfortably. Finally, he just sighed loudly and says, Look, enough, dude. Quote, look, enough, dude. I'm smelling something weird in this place. Kind of like a farm, you know? Cows. Oh, no, wait. Bullshit. And points towards Mike. That's so juvenile, but it's also quite funny. Travis proceeds to tell Mike why the Ultramarines do not deserve top billing in any store, let alone Games Workshop. This throws all of Mike's training, of course, out the window. For my part, I am ashamed about my input here, just to get a rise out of Mike. I acted like I was being corrupted by Travis, and was nodding along, saying things like, you know, that's a good point. Calgar did get his ass kicked by a Swarm Lord. I can see Mike going a little red in the face as he is taking a bit of a verbal beating, if a good-natured one. In the end, he stands up, and I figure that this is awesome as we are about to see some other side to Mike that I hadn't seen before, because he was smiling. He looks directly at Travis and says, quite loudly, Tyranids are for gays and women, though. So, is that really a win? End quotes. I mean, on the women part, he's not wrong. But yeah, still douchey thing to say, dude. Don't shout that in a pub. It's not going to go down very well. He presented this as some kind of gotcha moment. I just imagine him standing up. He's like, huh? Huh? I think everyone's just looking at him like, what a tool. When the rest of the table was a bit put off by this sudden hostile swing in mood, instead of apologising, he lost it and doubled down, saying that those who wandered from Space Marines in their collecting habits were just bad for the hobby and played into constant memes that ruined it for the mature gamer. One of the trainers then brought up that there were a lot of memes about Space Marines out there, Calgar and Gilliman especially. Everybody needed to take their medicine. That's a fair point, that's a fair point. Mike rounded on him, and again, this guy worked for HQ. Mike rounded on him and told him to his face that Mike had read the lore back to back and knew what he was talking about, to which the trainer responded, so? That doesn't mean you can speak for the entire internet zeitgeist when it comes to Warhammer 40,000. Wow, okay. Things were just getting worse for Mike. Now he was arguing with people from headquarters. Yes, not a good look. This would not end well. The argument went on, with me and Travis actually trying to save Mike, but he just doubled down in his logic and refused to budge, telling the trainer he was completely wrong, and even insinuating that people like him, quote-unquote, were bad for the hobby, quote-unquote. Oh no. Oh no. How to get sacked from your job, 101. When Mike finally stated that most lore that doesn't concern Ultramarines was contrived bullshit, the trainer finally snapped and told Mike that not only did he disagree, he had been a studio writer for 8 years before his current role, writing codexes and lore for different teams in Warhammer 40,000. And by teams we mean writing teams, not the factions. Awkward silence. Oh shit. Oh no. Travis then pipes up and says, look, can we just all agree that Tau are for weebs? I love this guy. To which the table laughs. Good. Okay, diffuse the situation. Good. But not Mike. He picks up his pitcher of beer and throws the contents onto Travis, who steps back in alarm. Mike then loudly exclaims that his girlfriend collects Tau. I didn't even know he had a girlfriend at this point. The night kicks off and we pull Mike away. The trainers give him a stern talking to outside, and eventually the night breaks apart and we all go our separate ways. Christmas drinks ruined for everybody but me and Travis, who head out to a local club. What is worse is that the drinks were not for the managers per se. They were for the staffers to thank them for all of their hard work, as we missed out on a Christmas bonus that year. Mike had just invited himself. A few days later in work, the guy had the gall to smile at me and say, wow, those Christmas drinks were interesting, huh? I just refused to play his games after that, and we got into so many arguments at work, it was unreal. He left a year later, and eventually I took over the store. It still remains my most shaking head memory of my time there. Cheers North, Coolio J. Man, like... There's nothing worse, like, when you're caught in logic, sometimes... I know how bad it is, because when I've had a drink, right? This is why YouTube works for me. When I've had a drink, I talk shit. When I say talk shit, I mean, like, if I've got an opinion about something, I'll just say it. I won't like, be, like, swept in there. And so when somebody's had not as much to drink as me and says that I'm wrong, and is right about that, I've had to learn over the years to say, do you know what, mate, I think you're right there. Because you know what? When you say that, when you back down from a point and go, do you know what, mate, I think you're right there. I think I'm wrong. People will listen to your next point more because they know you're not blowing shit out your arse. You're literally saying stuff you believe to be true from a empirical standpoint. And if you're proven wrong, you'll admit that, right? Your word carries more weight. It took me years to learn that that was the case. And now I do that all of the time. If I think I'm wrong, I'll stand back and say, look, man, I think I'm wrong there. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, yeah, good on you. You know, that is what it is. When you're a mic, though, and you're doubling down, it is a bad look. It just shows you as some unresponsive, unflinching moron. And nobody likes to be around you. Like, absolutely nobody. But, hey, have any of you guys acted this way? Be honest. There will be a few of you. Be honest. Have you ever acted this way? And as such, what did you do about it? Did you confront it? Did you get over it? Or did you never get over it? I don't know. Love you all long time. I will speak to you tomorrow where we'll be doing some more lore on the Blood Angels this time and why calling them vampires ruins them for most people who actually like the hobby and are sane. Love you long time. Speak to you tomorrow. Have a good one.